so cool. And but the volcano. The other thing that happened is I was supposed to take. We got to Hilo, and they were doing helicopter flyovers of the eruption. So we went there, and I immediately scheduled to take one of these, open door in a helicopter, fly over the thing. People were telling me, oh yeah, you can feel the heat coming up from it. I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be really cool. And so we showed up on Friday to do it, and they had screwed up the reservation. They made it for the following Friday. And they said, sorry. And I said, well, sorry's not good enough. So, long story short is I have with Paradise Helicopters in Hawaii, I had 2 free helicopter flights waiting for me the next time I can get out there. I raised hell about it. I was really pissed. I flew all the way out there, and I didn't get to get what I want. Like, that's what I'm saying. You know, you think about the shots you didn't get. The shots I got were cool, but I wanted to get the lava. I mean, there's people out there though that they do this for a living, and it's pretty amazing the stuff that they get. It's if you look around for you know, Google some stuff, it's just mind-boggling. But yeah, it's you know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. If you get an opportunity to do something like that, I was like, yeah, let's do this. You know, this is going to be worth it, and I'm happy I did it because I saw something that I might not see again. And if you get the opportunity, yeah, go for it. You know, that's one thing, you got to be able to move, you know, fast and do something kind of on a whim sometimes. I mean, the Alaska trips we planned. I do know, like, we were up in September, and the weather was generally pretty lousy, and we didn't get to see the aurora. But if you go up in March, is the best month. It's also, you want really cold, and you want clear skies, and that's, you get that in March in Alaska. I go out for the Iditarod now every year. But you know, if you specifically want to do something like that, that is a good month to do it. You got to dress for it. You got to plan for these things, but it's cool stuff if you can pull it off. I mean, there's just nothing like seeing this aurora. It's just spiritual. It's just spiritual is the best way I can put it. You know, they'll occasionally get an aurora. Will come here. I've got apps for it now that, you know, alert me if there's like the aurora level's going to be 5 or something. You know, we don't get to see it in California, but there's people that just fly up to do that stuff. There's other places you can go. You know, about a year ago, took this other trip. My buddy lost his job in Anchorage, so he was driving back to Southern California. So he said, I got laid off. He said, you want to drive the Alcan, Alaska Canadian Highway, with me? He said, I want to drive my car back. I said, I'm down with it. Let's do this. So I flew up to Whitehorse, Yukon. And Yukon is an interesting place. It's North British Columbia. Canadian people are fantastic. Love them. Love them. Haven't been a bad Canadian yet. So we flew up to Whitehorse. Yukon is, okay, for perspective, Yukon is bigger than the state of California, okay? It's almost the size of California and Oregon put together. The total population of the Yukon is 35,000 people, and 28,000 of them live in Whitehorse. So just imagine, basically, a little bigger than Fort Dodge in this area that's larger than California. I mean, it's just vast nothingness out there. And living in LA and dealing with knuckleheads and traffic, and you know, this is like, I love this, just getting out where nobody's around. And so we had found out about this thing called the Sourdough Cocktail. It's up in a city called Dawson City. Now, Dawson City was an old gold mining town. It's on the Yukon River, way up north, up near the Arctic Circle. And Dawson City, at one time, had a population of about 30,000 people. And then they found, this was around the 1900, and then they found gold in Nome, so everybody took off for Nome, Alaska. And so Dawson City started dying. There's a film out, if you can, it might be on Amazon Prime, called Dawson City Frozen in Time. So I went to the premiere at the Newark Theater in Santa Monica, and I was just enamored with this place, and I had to find out more about it. The old silent films were made on acetate, okay, extremely flammable, and they burned a lot of movie theaters. These things would catch on fire, they just literally could not put them out. Whole downtowns burned. So Dawson still had a somewhat sizable population, you know, around 1920. So these films would start like in 1915 or 16, they'd be released, and they'd go to, you know, LA, Chicago, New York, and they'd make the circuit. It would take 3 years to get to Dawson. Dawson was the end of the line for these silent films. So they ended up in Dawson, and Dawson would like write the studios and say, hey, we got your silent film, what do you want us to do with it? And they're like, well, we made our money off it, just keep it. So these things just stockpiled in Dawson. And so they didn't know what to do with them. So they had a swimming pool at the time, and the population was declining. They're Canadians, they like to play hockey. So they said, well, let's make the swimming pool into a hockey rink. Well, what are we going to fill it up with? So, oh, we got all these old films. So they put all these old films in the swimming pool. They covered it up, made an ice hockey rink, and it sat there till like 1979. And they had to build like a new sewer line. The guy's running a backhoe in Dawson, and he unearths this stuff, and he looks down and he goes out and looks at his film. So he calls the guy from the local historical society. He says, get down here, take a look at this. And the guy comes down, looks at it, and says, stop digging. So he calls the film board in Ottawa, and they fly out, and they say, this is like a modern day historical dig now. Because most of the silent films, like 90% of the silent films, burned up. They're just not there. So it took them 3 years, and they dug all these films, and they stored them in like some root cellar in Dawson, and then they trucked them down to Whitehorse, and they wanted to get them to Ottawa to get them restored. So they called up like the Postal Service, and they called up, you know, FedEx or whatever, and they said, what do you want to send these films? They said, well, sorry, we don't send explosives. So they sat in Whitehorse for all these years. So then somebody finally got the idea and said, you know, who sends explosives is the Canadian military. So the military came and actually flew these things to Ottawa, and they've been restored. So the film is Dawson City Frozen in Time. It's like a modern day silent film. I was just enamored with this. I gotta go and see this place. And then I find out about this thing called the Sourdough Cocktail. It's another story. Sourdough Cocktail, they used to bootleg liquor from Dawson City down the Yukon into Alaska. And these guys were doing it, and as the story goes, this guy, he fell through the ice, and by the time he got back to the cabin, his foot was frozen, and his brother looked at it and said, that toe's got to come off. So they cut this toe off, and they put it in a shot glass. And it sat there for like 10 years. So then, this guy, this other guy comes along, and you know, they're Canadians, so they're drinking whiskey or doing whatever they do. And he says, you know, let's put this toe in a drink. So they started this thing called the Sourdough Cocktail. They would actually, like, and you can look it up, you can Google videos or YouTube or whatever, and there's a bar in Dawson City now, they serve the Sourdough Cocktail. It's a human toe. It's $5 for the drink, $5 for the toe, and you get a certificate if you do it. And of course, we did it twice. And you know, I don't know. It's just, why did I do it? I don't know.
Is it his toe that they use?
Human toe. The toe that we They've run through several toes through the years.
Was it real human toes?
It's a real human toe.
Does it taste good?
It's a little chewy.
Oh, it's a human toe?
Yeah.
I was gonna say no.
Here's the thing: if you swallow the toe, it's like a $2,000 fine. At the time they only had one toe on reserve. They've got a tombstone out front of the bar of past toes, you know, used up, swallowed. One guy came in from the local casino one night and he did like 16 shots with the toe. And then the 17th shot, he threw it back and he fell over his bar stool. He swallowed the toe. But like, you know, at the time it was like $500 fine, put $500 in the bar and walked out. The toe that we had was, some guy was mowing his lawn in Whitehorse and was wearing sandals and had a little accident. And so that was our toe. So, you know, photography will take you to some strange places and make you do some strange things, but yeah, you know, that was, it's an adventure, you know, and you only live once, and you know, my parents have passed, and you know, I spent a lot of time, they were both in Villa Care nursing home, and I spent a lot of time. Nursing homes are interesting places because I feel bad for the people who are in there, because a lot of times they don't have family or friends that come and visit them. The people who become their friends are the employees in there. But the thing I ended up, you know, they kind of, you walk in there and you're kind of depressing and all this stuff. But everybody in the nursing home has lived a life and they have a story to tell. Mm-hmm. And you can learn a lot from them. I mean, and they want to tell you their story, what they did with their lives, what regrets they have. I never heard anybody say, you know what, I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I would have worked more. You know, I mean, work is important, don't get me wrong. But, you know, it's one go around here, and I can't stress enough, because I've got friends who, they just keep working, where I'm like, why don't you just, you know, hang it up and enjoy it? And, you know, that's kind of the way I look at things. I mean, I'm not a religious person. I'm probably more of a spiritual person. But I'm here, we're here right now, we're living. Enjoy it, man, enjoy it. That's, you know, I can't stress that enough, because ultimately, in my mind, we don't know, and you know, I know that goes against the grain of what a lot of people say, but I'm here right now, and damn it, if I can drink that sourdough cocktail, I'm going to do it, you know. But any other questions? I'm sorry, I kind of rambled on about stuff. Yeah.
Is there anything that scares you about traveling?
No, you know, we went on the Dalton Highway, the world's most dangerous highway, in September, and we broke windshield on Chevy Suburban. We weren't supposed to take Enterprise for bids taking a rental car up there, and I looked into other options, and they were really expensive. And you know what? I said, we're going to do it, you know, and you can take it to Denali Park Road, and there was some risk involved, because I mean, if we got stranded out there, I mean, my buddy said, well, we got 2 cases of beer in the back. I said, well, okay, that'll last us about 6 hours, then what? We don't have plan B. Didn't have a satellite phone. Not that would do us any good. You know, but I mean, we take some chances, but we take, like with the bear, okay, should we have been that close to the bear? Probably not. But we were smart about it, you know. We talk about the situation we're in, and is this dangerous? You know, what are we going to do? So I guess what I'm saying is, I like a little bit of danger when I do things. You know, I wasn't going to be afraid of shooting out an open door in a helicopter. God forbid, you know, what happens if you drop your camera? And you know, no, I'm going to do it. Because I want to live. There's a certain, you know, 2 quick stories. One, after we got done